So professional.
I'm the most professional person there's ever been and ever will be. Cannot be gainsaid.
It's episode 30, JJ. We made it to a round number, the same as my age.
Andrew, you're 30? Oh my God.
I know. It's all downhill from here, man. All downhill from here.
I don't know. People are living longer these days. You still got like maybe 10 more years of uphill.
Is it just long? Is longer better? I don't think longer means better. I think it just means longer.
That's a very philosophical question I don't think we're prepared to answer on We Were Gamers, a podcast about two people that used to play games and don't as much anymore.
You're probably right. It's a special episode, dude. We've got some fun planned. I'll just leave it there, right?
Yeah, I'm very excited. This is the first time we've attempted this, so I hope it turns out good.
Well, if our episode goes anything like the setup, it's going to be a complete disaster.
I don't know about that. Hopefully not.
Well, in the vein of we don't play games much anymore, JJ and I both used to play a game called World of Warcraft a lot. JJ more than me, maybe?
I definitely played a lot. I had close to like 100 days played back in the Wrath of the Lich King expansion.
I don't know what that means, and somebody's going to explain that in a second, but...
I bet our special guest knows exactly what that means.
We both used to play it a lot, but we haven't played it in a long time. BlizzCon just happened, and a friend of ours, a friend of the show, I guess we can call this person now, since we have a show.
Coveted friend of the show status.
Chris Bellevue from... Good God, what state are you in now, Chris? It's Wisconsin originally, but not anymore.
Correct. I'm in the lovely Minnesota now, sans the snow.
Oh, boy. Well, where you get shut in and play video games all day. Chris, you still play World of Warcraft.
Yes, I do.
And you have been playing World of Warcraft since day one, as far as I recall.
Pretty close, yep. I did get my 10-year anniversary trophy for being a sucker. So, I mean, for playing a long time, yes.
You know that you're a true World of Warcrafter when you call it being a sucker.
Yes.
You've made it through the hard times up to the previous two expansions up to Legion, and you still kept playing. So JJ and I are here to fire a bunch of questions at you, but we wanted to hear kind of your experience, your level of play with the game for the listeners.
Sounds good. So a little bit about me, I guess. I've done everything from raid leading a 500-person guild back when that was the limit, to all the way down to what I am now, which is basically just a casual. JJ mentioned time played. I am currently actually logged in right now because I'm an addict.
Of course you're logged in.
So I'm looking at my playtime on just my mage, and total playtime of my mage is 153 days.
Okay. So, to give a perspective, I'm sure Chris has many different characters, and that's just one of his. I believe
that is correct.
That /played number that I quoted back several years ago when I stopped was also for multiple of my characters. Like, I added them up across characters.
Oh, man.
Now you're making me feel worse.
I mean, also, this was 4 or 5 years ago, so...
Yeah, you can't... It's not an apples-to-apples thing.
Yeah, super not.
So how many characters have you got going now, Chris?
So currently I maintain 2 active accounts. Of the 2 accounts, I have multiples at level 100. Due to the Legion mechanics and the amount of time and effort to be put into Legion, I only have 2 at max level 110.
Okay. So that's immediately very different from what I remember when I played World of Warcraft.
Yes. If you take this expansion away, I have probably 12 characters at level 100.
Wow. Okay, so let's give some perspective, I guess, a little bit here on why we wanted to ask all these questions, JJ. You and I haven't been playing for a long time, but what happens when you log in to play, let's say, our Heroes of the Storm games that we've been playing recently?
Sure, or Hearthstone. You open up your Blizzard friends list in the app or on the computer, and you scroll down. In fact, I'll do it right now. I'm going to scroll down this list. There are 4 players right now playing World of Warcraft, and I have 12 people online. That's pretty good. Normally, I would say that number is that's low number of World of Warcraft players.
Yeah. Most typical nights, I usually have 11 people online, and 9 of them are in World of Warcraft, probably.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I know a bunch of people that have quit Final Fantasy to play World of Warcraft when Legion came out. I know a bunch of people that haven't played World of Warcraft for years that restarted when
Yeah, that's the big one for me.
Legion came out. So when we were talking at BlizzCon, we were just flabbergasted about all this, and we started asking you questions, Chris, and then thought we should get deeper into this.
It was clearly going to be a discussion, so I wanted to. Why are so many people playing World of Warcraft again?
So I think legendaries piques people's interest. The main
what is a legendary?
So let me reword that. More of an artifact, not a legendary. So legendaries were the purples back in the day. Those were, way back in the day of vanilla rating. It was, I got a purple. Now I have a legendary. That's my thing. It actually graduated as time went on. Legendary became something that was indicated for a specific class or a specific role. So, I'll bring up Thunder Fury because that's what the big one was in vanilla. That was available for rogues and warriors, and everybody, if you were in that role, you needed to have that. What they have done with Legion is move to artifact, and every single person has an artifact. You also have an artifact for every single spec. So basically, you get the ability to go through almost however you want to build your character. You have multiple talent points per artifact. So you can choose what type of damage or what type of effect or how this is going to build you to be a better character as you move forward through the game.
Now, you're just given an artifact, right? You don't have to really work to get it?
I guess to be clear, artifacts, are these only weapons?
Artifacts are only weapons, that is correct.
Okay.
Well, let me reword that. No.
In so much of a word.
Oh, God, I'm confused.
No.
No.
Can of worms.
So there is an artifact that is just a weapon. And there is now something called a Legion Legendary. A Legion Legendary is an orange item, so that would be like your artifact from the past, or your legendary from the past. That is unique to Legion as an expansion. They actually just raised the cap, so there used to be you could only equip one. And then it was, once you got through leveling your class hall, you could equip 2. And then they just raised the soft cap so that now you can acquire more than 4.
Wow.
There are roughly about 10 available for everybody. There's, I think, don't quote me on this, but I want to say there's 5 class specific and then 5 that are not class specific.
Whoa.
Now, these are given out, or are they earned, or how long does it take to get these guys?
So the artifacts are given right away. They are basically your next level weapon. So they took one piece out of the game for loot. There's really no weapon drops anymore. However, your weapons level up as you put points into the different talents of the artifacts.
Interesting.
You gain these levels with your levels? You gain them...
So it's an independent item called Artifact Power that drops from bosses, it drops from items, it drops from quest rewards, and then it's, I don't know what the exact number going up in, but I want to say it exponentially increases as you go up in levels. So my highest character right now for artifact power of the two, because you can only do this at 110, is at level 30. And they start at level 0. So for me to move to level 31, I need to get 546,000 artifact power.
There's a cap?
There is a cap at 35. So I'm not that far off.
It sounds almost like the Diablo Paragon points a little bit. Like an extra XP that kind of gives you a smaller bonus.
It would be very similar to that, yes.
Interesting. And this is like a per character specific weapon for that character, and then also that specialty for that character?
So you just said it correctly. It is a specific number for a specific weapon of your spec. So the character that I play most right now is a monk, and I play him as a monk tank. I have level 30 in my monk tank spec. In my monk DPS, I'm only at level 17.
Oh, man.
And you can switch between them?
So the points, once you get them, you can use them on any of the three. However, when you use them, they're only valid for that spec.
Oh, boy. So there's a lot of extra leveling to be accomplished, which obviously gets people in for longer amounts of time.
Yes.
Beyond 110. What would drag people back in along with this that, like, okay, I haven't played in 5 years. I understand the appeal of wanting to go in and see, but, like, if the game has changed that much, what drags people in right away?
I think new content, new stories, seeing the backstory of, like, how Illidan fell from power and rose to power and what he's going to do. I mean, I'm not even at a point where we know what Illidan is going to be worth at the end of this expansion. We know there's a storyline where they're showing his history and they're unlocking who he is. I think that's a to come yet, which I think a lot of people are waiting for, and it's not something like I can't sit here and grind to find that answer out. I have to wait as different storylines unfold with the way that Blizzard chooses to release their content.
So with Warlords of Draenor and with Legion now, we're walking through the past in World of Warcraft, so to speak. You know, like the previous couple games that JJ and I played would then be in the future?
Because, wait, yeah, wasn't all this Illidan stuff handled in Warcraft 3? Like, don't we know who he is? He's the brother of Malfurion. What else do you need to know?
Well, they actually go through, you know, who he is. They actually show you the storyline. Now, this storyline is actually, it is happening in the past. But there are some parts of the storyline that are, you actually go into Black Temple and you fight alongside Illidan as, you know, one of his demon hunters, so that you can see how they turned on him and that kind of stuff.
So Black Temple is no longer sunken in the water somewhere.
No, Black Temple was an above ground raid that was in one of the expansions. I don't remember, one of the early ones. But like there, you kill Illidan at the end of it, I think.
Correct.
Is that place still around? Or we're just in this place in the past? Is that what we're talking about?
It's there in this specific storyline, yes. I mean, it's not part of this expansion as far as a playable zone outside of the storyline that's there.
Yeah.
So it's like an instance thing?
It would be more like a dream sequence that you get to participate in.
Oh, cool.
Interesting that they're kind of using that as a mechanic to do these things in the past, so to speak. Legion kind of, I guess, changed the game a lot as far as people were concerned. How did you feel about the previous couple expansions with like Draenor and we talked a little bit about this before, but like everything that they put in the last 2 years is kind of just gone, you know, like strongholds and all these other things.
Yeah, the garrisons were they were nice, but I don't think they kept people playing the game. I think they kept people sitting in their garrison, clicking buttons. In fact, there were add-ons that basically told you the best options to choose at the time. So, I mean, there really wasn't any thought to it. There was just a oh man, I have to log in and click these buttons to do this. I don't even know why I'm doing this, but I'm doing it anyway kind of feeling. And I feel, so there was a 25 player cap to the former garrisons. Now they have changed that to 6. And they've actually added an application that's available on Android and Apple that allows you to manage that from mobile, wherever you are. So it gives you a little bit... it's very similar to how the garrisons worked, if you saw that before you guys left. It is a little different in that, a typical mission for these guys are like 11 hours, 12 hours long. So it's something, you're not just sitting there waiting for. It's, I'll click it and come back tomorrow.
Like an open once a day kind of thing. Get your daily use of it and come back tomorrow.
Correct. Yep. And one thing that they've added with these, so in the past, they just brought you loot. They just brought you, gold or some sort of crafting material. Basically, what they do now is they have the artifact power items, which can obviously help you as you need to get up to whatever the max is. They also have reputation for the different factions, as well as sometimes they will come back with a raid quest, which doesn't necessarily give you loot. It just gives you a quest that you need to go complete a boss within inside of a raid, and then you will get additional loot. So it's not like the other one where it just handed you free stuff. Now you actually have to do something for it, which is kind of cool.
As a casual, does that kind of suck when you get a raid quest?
No, because, it probably did right away at the beginning. But now that LFR, looking for a raid, now that the casuals have access to all of the wings that are open of the current raids available, no, because you can complete them on any difficulty.
Okay, so that's something else that's new, at least to me, from when I played this game. The whole looking for, you mentioned it, LFR, right. Looking for raid. And that extends also to dungeons and stuff, I assume, as well. And that none of that existed back when I played. So that's a pretty crazy addition. It's basically like an automated group finder. But how does that work for a raid?
Same way. Basically, they have determined, and they being Blizzard, have determined that most raid compositions are going to have 2 tanks. They're going to have 7 healers, and then this is either a 10-man or a 25-man dungeon. So if it's a 10-man, you're going to have 2, 2, and 3.
Okay, so do they have some sort of, lack of a better word, MMR or like rating system for players so that you don't get matched with people that are bad or like of equal skill level? Or
so in the looking for raid, if you are searching for raid members, there is an item level requirement. The item level requirement is relatively low. It's only, this number's not going to mean anything to you, but it's relatively low. Basically, as you progress from leveling, that number would be equivalent to getting the higher level gear from going through a dungeon on regular and then going through it on heroic and then potentially getting something from mythic. So they have that number set for looking for raid as a little bit higher. So you're not necessarily with, people of lower skill. However, they detune the content so that you don't necessarily have to go through the mechanics. So it's easier for the people to go through there. So, myself as a non-raiding member of the guild that I belong to, it's on my own to get gear. I fill in on their off nights when they're doing or running their alts through, but outside of that, it's on my own to get my own gear. It is possible to get, like right now, I'm mid-level, I guess, for gear, after 110. So the level that I have now pretty much will get me into anything. If I were a brand new person, JJ mentioned going back to dungeons as an example. Dungeons, you can, if you are making the group, you can say, I want to have somebody with an 860 item level, which is my level or above.
That's
and then it will
a
only
lot
choose
of specificity.
People. Yes.
now, you just said something that I think is kind of cool and interesting, but also I wonder if there's a system in place for recognizing the opposite. You said they can detune the dungeons when you're doing it through a group finder. How does that work for raid groups that do it as like these teams on Sky, like people that are out there doing it for real? Is there some sort of then bonus for doing it without it being detuned?
No. So the detune is specific to the type of whatever that you're running, and it's only available for the LFR. So if you're running a random group, dungeons go normal, heroic, mythic. Raids go LFR, normal, heroic, mythic. So okay. LFR in raids is that detuned version. For dungeons, there is no detuned. So, you can have someone that's fresh at 110, bought a couple pieces of gear on the auction house to get their item limit, have no idea how to play their character, but they meet the level requirements. I mean, they have to know the mechanics to get through the dungeon.
Gotcha. But so for raids, is there some sort of bonus gear for doing it not in LFR?
I don't know that bonus gear would be the right word. There is bonus gear if you are doing a 25-man raid versus a 10-man raid, just to accommodate the extra players. But the gear that's given out is based on item level, and the item level is determined based off of what you're doing, whether it's LFR, normal, heroic, or mythic.
Okay, so the gear that drops from a heroic or a mythic raid, say, is going to be better than something you can find through the looking for raids system.
Yes. Yep. You will get the same. I mean, just name off my ring here. I have a loop of vitriolic intent. So that will drop in all versions of the raid. However, the item level goes anywhere from 840 up to 890 now.
I love the name of that item, first of all.
Yes.
And second of all, that's nuts.
So, like, just the numbers on it are just higher if you get it from a different place. It's like, oh, I have this one with plus 100 instead of plus 75.
Exactly. Yep. And as the item level goes up, the stats go up. So it behooves you to get into better gear so that you can have the chance to get in those better raids. So that obviously your agility, if you're a stabby, if your agility goes up with a higher item level.
Is it just me, JJ, or does it seem like a lot of D3 post Reaper Loot 2.0 style design here?
So they had already done a lot of that stuff in World of Warcraft. I don't know when the last time you played was, but they added a system that made it literally stop dropping loot that you couldn't equip. So like you'd be finding, quests to kill your 15 rats or whatever, and picking up their pelts or whatever, and then it would drop a cool staff, but you're a hunter and you can't use staff, so this is pointless. They've stopped that stuff by and large from happening. So yeah, like a lot of those decisions that D3 made have kind of come around, or I think it may have gone the other way actually. Like World of Warcraft did that stuff first, then they moved it over.
Crazy. So do they still have quests like that, Chris, where you have to run out and kill 15 rats?
Certainly, yes. In fact, I'm stuck on a couple of those right now, so yeah.
I love that you have it open so you can just check anything at any point in time. He's like, well, let me look at my ring. Hold on, let me open my quest log. Oh, look at that. Kill 15 boars. I've done that 600 times.
Yes, and that's I guess one of the other things. So something that in my history, the reason I have so many characters, every expansion, every time we've lost characters, I've always leveled another character to fit in whatever hole is needed because I'm a guild man and I play for the team, not for myself. In Legion, I find myself trying my hardest to be the best monk tank I can be because A, there aren't that many of me, and B, it's awfully difficult to level another character to get through. I mean, to get to where I am right now, time played this level, I'm at 13 days, 4 hours, and some change for minutes. So I would have to get through 13 days worth of time, not only including the fact that some of these things I have to wait a day in order for them to happen. I mean, it has to be much more than 13 days. That's just the minimum time accumulated together. So in order for me to be a comparable, oh, my team needs a Death Knight right now, and I'm going to go be a Death Knight, it's going to take me probably 20 days to get where I am now on my monk.
That was definitely a thing we could do back when we played. Was like, well, I don't really feel like playing my mage today. I'll go on my priest, and they're the same. They're equivalent. I have basically the same gear, and I've played the same amount of time, and it's all good.
Yeah, I don't know. At some point, once I had got into the rating pretty heavily, it was really obvious the quality of my characters diverged drastically, right? It's like this guy has the raid loot, this guy doesn't. So every time I played the other one, you're like, oh yeah, everything dies really slow now because I don't have the sweet gear on my other character. But yeah, I mean, I get it. That's like 13 days of it's like played time. 13 days is like a lot.
Right. I mean, it doesn't seem like that much, but that's with the way that the mechanics work for some of these quests only opening up, well, you have to do these today, and then tomorrow the next step will be available. Or just one of the other mechanics that they added in so that when you start out leveling your artifact weapon, I mentioned it's going to cost me 550,000, whatever it is, to get to the next level here. The first level is only like 1,000. It may only be like 100. So in order to ramp that up and to assist with getting my other specs, they added something called artifact knowledge. Artifact knowledge is every time something that gives you artifact power drops or gives you artifact power, it increases that percentage. Right now I'm up to artifact knowledge level 17, which increases my artifact power gains by 4,550%.
Okay. So it's sort of like a way to accelerate your gain on other characters.
Correct. Well, not other characters, just other specs.
Yeah, okay. Yes, thank you.
Yep.
So they really are trying to force people, well, yeah, you can level your monk, but you can only level your different types of your monk.
That's a lot of... Man, wow. Even with that boost, that's still a ton of playtime, though.
Is that a net benefit to the game overall? Do you think that the quality of other raid people has increased and that's made it beneficial? Do you think that that's a negative effect because people can't try out other characters really without feeling like they're just losing out on time? Now that you're more casual, maybe you have a different opinion than you would have before.
I mean, I still see it. Our guild has swapped a couple of players around that filled my role of filling in a need for the guild. I definitely feel that it has a negative effect on swapping. But for the new person coming in, learning the game, I think they have too much to do to be concerned with, oh, I don't really like this anymore, let's play this. Or, I just want to try out playing this instead. I think that it gets them into focusing on one character, focusing on the skills, which in turn improves gameplay for everybody.
Sure, it's better to have an entire raid group of everyone specializing than one guy who's playing a tank because it's his off-spec, but he really wants to be DPS.
Right.
So for the people like me or JJ that haven't played in so long, or they're the new player, I walked into that game. There was a couple of months ago that they had a free week or something like that, and I walked into my old character, and I had no idea which way was up anymore. Is that possibly the reason that everyone's just got so much to do and so much time and so much to relearn that it's got to take months, basically, at this point? Is that the amount of content that they've dropped in the last year or two?
I guess they changed some of the things around. Monk tanking was a little bit different, and the reason there aren't that many monk tanks anymore is most people felt like they ruined the tank class in regards to monks, just due to a lack of self-healing. But I think they just changed how things happen. So I don't necessarily think it takes too long. There is definitely a learning curve involved with it that will take somebody that hasn't played in maybe 2 expansions to pick up the difference. If you were a tank, that's probably the biggest difference. DPS and heals, same things, different buttons.
I mean, that's definitely better than it used to be, at least in terms of the diversity. That was a lot more, I just remember like people would be like, I can only play this one way. And then it was just, in the beginning was that, and then they added the multiple spec stuff, and people were like, I can play every way. It doesn't matter. Just put me in the group.
Right.
So they're kind of going back to the other way.
Well, okay. I mean, so in the past you had to focus your gear on, a specific spec. I'm a tank. I need to get tank stuff. I'm a healer. I need to get heal stuff. And while that is still true, when you look at any piece of gear, it has alternate specs on it. Like, I'll just use the monk again here. Intellect is not something that monk tanks use. It's something that monk healers use. And all of my gear has a grayed out stat for intellect. So when I switch to the healing spec, intellect becomes active and then agility drops off because agility is not something that's needed for a healer.
What?
Yep.
Man.
Your gear switches spec?
Yep.
That's so crazy. Like,
it's mind-boggling.
Wow. I don't have any way to, that's beyond anything that they used to do when I play. That's just nuts.
Oh my God. I don't know if most of our normal listeners will fully grasp the meaning of this, but let me maybe try to lay it out there. So let's say essentially a spec is a second character, right?
Sure.
Essentially.
It's like a completely different way to play the same character.
Right. So let's say you're playing as a knight or whatever, for people that haven't played World of Warcraft before and they don't know all the classes and stuff like that. You would go out and you would wear shiny armor that's very heavy and you'd have a shield and a sword. But you're a human being, and as a human being, you can also have another class, kind of like a mage or something. But as a mage, you would have a nice flowy robe, and your sword would be a staff. That's basically saying, you just sort of turn your armor inside out, and it becomes cloth.
Pretty close.
Yep, it's like, yeah, and I transmute my staff into a sword, and
that's
now
nuts.
we fight. That's so cool, man.
That's nuts. Okay, so we've got looking for raid / dungeon. We've got artifacts and artifact leveling, speccing and less class diversity for the player. What is there for a person like us to jump in and do that's not going to go raid, that's going to drag people in for a long time?
Once you hit level 110, there are new things that are added called world quests. Of the world, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zones. Each zone has its own little, story or backstory to it.
This world being not Azeroth.
Right. It's the Broken Isles is what it's called now, which actually looks like portions of Azeroth. Like this section used to be this, that kind of thing. I don't know that it is, or maybe it is, and I'm just, delirious from the cough medicine, whatever.
Nice. I'm delirious because I ate too much leftover turkey.
Gotcha.
Turkey.
Exactly. So there's these new things that are added called world quests, which they add twice a day, I believe at the 11 o'clock hour on the East Coast, or West Coast, sorry. And then each of the individual zones has anywhere from 4 to 7 of these world quests. Getting through, let me back up a little bit. So in order to level you faster, or in order to make it feel like you're doing something worthwhile, Blizzard implemented something called emissary quests, where every day they give you a specific zone and say, hey, you need to complete 6 quests from this zone, and we'll give you some loot, some extra loot other than what you get from doing the quests themselves. The loots have a chance to drop mounts, which everybody, the collectors, there's pets that you can get.
Mounts and pets.
Mounts and pets, that's
It's all
right.
about the hats, man. Everyone loves the hats.
That's right. Well, they've actually changed that, too.
Yes, JJ, did you know that your mounts and pets are spells now, and they're in your spell log?
I'm flipping this desk over and I'm walking out. I had 700 bags of dumb mounts. Not true,
Yes.
not 700, but a lot. A lot of bags of mounts. And now it's just like, No. This game.
So-
You want to get real mad?
No.
Chris, because I know you're on the World of Warcraft right now.
Yes.
Your smallest bag on your character, how many slots is in it?
They're all the same, and they're all 30 slots.
This game, all right, I can't even now. I want to say
there are larger ones, but I'm not a rich player, so
I want to say the most that was available when I was playing was like 16 or 18 times 5. That's like more than double the inventory space.
Yeah, and if you were a hunter, you lost one bag,
Yeah,
Yep, because you used to have to carry ammo. Yeah.
which is no longer the case.
Nope.
And something else too, like your materials or something like that don't go into your bags; they go into somewhere else.
Depends. So there is. Well, I'll get to the wardrobe feature of it. So people have complained enough that they have gotten rid of. Was transmogging around when you guys were playing yet?
I think they had just started introducing the idea that you could dress up yourself as other sets that you had right as I was quitting.
Okay, so with that theory, you used to have to maintain whatever piece you were transmogging.
Yes, that was the deal. If you could leave it in the bank, that was the thing that was cool.
Correct. So they have gotten rid of that, and they have added it to an appearance tab based on every single item. So as I scroll through my different appearances, if I just click on the backs as an example, there are 758 backs in the game that I can wear. Of the 758 that I can wear, I have received 273 of them. I don't have to keep 273 items. All I have to do is get them once and equip them. And then I can sell them. And then I can go back to that appearance whenever I want.
Much like the Diablo transmog feature, then. Acquire the item once, you can transmog it forever.
Exactly.
Crazy.
That's fine. That's cool. That's like quality of life.
But also that sort of, well, I guess you do have to equip it. So you can't just like hold it and then sell it again.
Right.
If it was a bind situation, then it would bind to you and then you can't give it to someone else.
Not only that, so that's appearances. Heirlooms were added to the game. I don't know if that was around yet when you guys were available.
Yeah.
Are heirlooms still a thing people do now that there are artifacts?
So
The heirlooms
you still
were
have
always
to
for
get
leveling alts, though,
Correct.
if I recall
Yep.
correctly.
You are correct. So you don't have to have those. Those have been added into this wardrobe as well.
Oh, so you don't even need to keep an item of them anymore?
You had to originally purchase it, and then you have to level it because there's, I think, level 60, level 90, and then level 100 versions of them. So you had to spend the gold, which was actually 150, 200,000 gold, which is quite a bit, to be able to purchase all of them and get them all leveled.
Let's talk about the economy in that game a little bit, because I am real curious about what is a lot of money these days, because people were uber rich, but I don't even remember what uber rich was anymore.
I believe I was considered rich at some point when I played that game, and I had like 2,000 or 3,000 gold on a character, and that was considered like more money than you should ever need.
In vanilla, it was hundreds. It has exponentially gone up from there. There is a specific amount that is available to purchase. When you have a specific amount of money, that amount of money is 2 million gold.
Is this mount just covered in like gold pieces and shiny particle effects that tell everyone how rich you are?
Not at all. However, it is the only spider in the game. It is a very large Black Widow-looking spider mount, which is actually really cool.
Huh.
I, however, will never have that much gold, ever. The most I will ever see is somewhere between 100 and 200,000.
Yeah. Okay. So, even like 100 and 200,000 is like an insane amount of gold. That's
No.
like a lot.
No.
I mean, to me, it's a lot.
I agree. That seems like an awful lot. I mean, I'm currently at 91,000, and that's probably the most I've had in years.
I think when I logged into that character a couple months ago, I had like 3 gold, maybe.
Yeah, that's not so.
I remember when they added the ability to train your flying mount in the new zone, and it was like 5,000 gold.
Flying mounts, pff, those aren't a thing.
And everyone said how insane it was that 5,000 gold was needed for anything. And like, who could ever have that much money? And it was so crazy. And then by the time you got that high to do it, everyone had 5,000 gold. No big deal.
So did they give people money back for that, by the way?
No. You still have to pay.
Sorry, your flying mount sucks. Too bad.
So flying became account-wide. You just had to level up the steps before that. However, flying is not available at this time in Legion. They did add something else called a whistle, which you get that after a couple quests, a couple reputation levels, and after 110. And basically what the whistle does is it every 15 minutes takes you to the closest, every 5 minutes, takes you to the closest flight master so that you can fly wherever it is you need to go.
Oh, here's another one for you, JJ. You probably weren't there when we were talking about this one. Chris, tell JJ how many Hearthstones there are in the game.
So, as I said...
One, right?
No. So, as I look at my bags, I have a Hearthstone, which I can set anywhere I want to set. That's your standard Hearthstone that was available.
Like it's always been.
Exactly. The second Hearthstone was from the last expansion for the Garrison. So there is a Garrison Hearthstone.
And that will only take you to your Garrison.
Yes. However, if your normal Hearthstone is down, depending on how far you leveled your Garrison, there are portals that can take you back to whatever major city that you're going to. So really, if your main Hearthstone is down, you can use your Garrison Hearthstone, take a portal, run to a flight path, or run to the portal, run to the second portal, and then you're back in, as I play Horde, back in Orgrimmar, as an example.
Who needs mages? Why even have the character? Why even have those abilities? Just throw them away.
There's more.
Oh, God.
So, now that we are playing in a different timeline from some of the events, such as Dalaran, because Dalaran was attacked. I won't get into too much of the storyline, but Dalaran has moved. So there is now a specific Hearthstone to the new Dalaran. So in this Dalaran, very much like the old Dalarans, if you were around yet when that was available, as the hub center, there's still your portals to Silvermoon, Thunderbluff, Orgrimmar, Undercity, blah, blah, blah.
But is Dalaran also integrated like it was before, where there's both Horde and Alliance there all the time?
Yes.
Okay. It's the neutral capital or something.
Correct. Yes.
Interesting.
It's very much like, was it Northrend, I think, where basically it had one flood point that connected you to everything. And that's pretty much what it is now. It's just in a different location, so they had to move it. Then, as specific classes have their own, I'll use monks. I have the ability to go to my class hall, which is basically called Zen Pilgrimage, which teleports me to my class hall from wherever I am with 1 minute cooldown, almost 0. So 1 minute cooldown, I can go back to my class hall, which, by the way, has a portal to get me to New Dalaran. So I can go wherever I want every minute.
Sheesh.
So I don't need to fly.
Yeah, why would you ever get on a flight path?
You don't even need the original Hearthstone anymore.
Yeah, it seems like, you could still use it if you wanted to go back to, like, another place that you'd want to access quickly, like some raid zone or something, I guess.
I use mine for the Mistapens area, major city, Summer's Rest, I think is what it was called. Mainly because there are certain things that allow you to level pets really quick in that area. Not to mention the fact that there are portals to every major city there.
How have we not talked about pet battling yet?
That makes sense, though. It lets you actually use the Hearthstone. Instead of having the Hearthstone always be forced to be the major city, it lets you set it to some other random place that you could actually use. That's kind of a cool idea.
Okay, but seriously, how have we not talked about pet battling yet?
Because I think that stuff is dumb. That's why. Boom! Come at me, Pokemon people.
So I'm not a huge pet battler or collector.
High five.
Yes. I do have plenty of pets. I do level them to 25, which is the max level for them, as needed, but I don't really... there are some people in my guild who are diehard, oh my god, I have to have this combination with this specific pet, with this specific skill set. Because they come in like 3 or 4 different flavors. There are some people that do that macro game, or micro game. I'm not one of them.
But those pets don't contribute anything to your character in terms of statistics or buffs or anything, do they? It's just cosmetic and another fun thing to do.
It is cosmetic and a fun thing to do. However, there are world quests in the zone which involve beating a pet master boss in the zone. So if you are stuck on things to do, or you don't like the available quests for the zone, you can do a pet battle. And that would account for one of your world quests.
If you don't want to chase 15 boars again.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you got sick of killing those boars, you can have your other thing kill boars, and it'll level up.
Correct.
I want to backtrack to money for a second.
Sure.
At one point in the past, they allowed you to buy some sort of coin thing with your in-game gold in order to buy game time.
Yes.
Does that still exist?
That does still exist.
Yeah, I was going to say, that definitely still exists.
The system used to be like based on how many people were buying it.
Yes.
It went up in cost, but a lot of people were selling them on the auction house.
Yep. Blizzard adjusts that amount based on whatever their criteria is. How fast people are buying them, what the population of the server is, that kind of stuff.
I mean, it makes it sound like they regulate the price of gold using those.
I think they attempt to do that. I don't think it works very well, but I do think they attempt, or at least that was the thought behind it.
Are people actually using this? How is everyone not just playing for free? How expensive are these things? Because that blows my mind still to this day when after they announced it. I'm just like shocked.
I sold one once. I think at the time it was like 35,000 gold I got for it. Let me see what they're up to now. Game time. Right now they are at 53,000 gold.
53,000 gold?
Correct.
So Chris said he had about 90-something thousand. So you could potentially buy a month's worth of game time.
Correct.
Right now.
How much time, if you were really into playing the auction house minigame on your phone and making sure all your people were getting you money and doing whatever else thing, would you make in a month?
Well, you know Elkie. You've met her. She does the auction house game very well. And I would say, I don't know what she makes on, over the course of 30 days. I know that she's probably one of those characters in the million range for gold. So, I mean, it's if you watched it, you could definitely pay for your service.
So
Wow.
do they still allow add-ons and apps and stuff that will automate a lot of that auction house stuff, or have they kind of cracked down on that stuff?
Automation is a tricky word.
It's a tricky word that sounds like cheating.
Yes.
I mean, that's what it was, though. Like Auctioneer, the add-on that I used to use in the past, was unfair. If you used it, you had access to so much more data about items and stuff than anyone else. You would just always make money, essentially. Like, it was insane.
Yes, that actually is still an add-on that many of us, and myself included, use. It has, what is it? They've gone more to a desktop version as well. It's scanning, because auction houses are available to play through the web or through your mobile device. That content is available for somebody to search as like an API. So they have people...
Yeah, you don't even need to be playing the game. You can just make money.
Correct.
It's so crazy. Like, yeah, I would just imagine you could easily play for free just by buying low and selling high and pretending it's the stock market.
You just have to... I mean, I've tried a couple times, and it's too much work for what I felt was minimal profits, because there are people that have been doing this now for...
Sure. So, I mean,
years.
You're swimming in the pool of sharks, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think you have to know that, raids are Tuesdays, because that's when the raids are reset. So certain things on Tuesdays are more expensive and better to post on Tuesdays. And, I have too many other things going on that it's
a person
not
who
something
used
I want
to
to focus on.
Feels like maybe your money and time would be better spent playing the real stock market and using those profits to pay for your service.
Exactly.
Yeah, probably.
That's awesome. So, after all this, are we playing World of Warcraft again?
No. It's really fascinating to me, all the stuff that they've gotten up to, and like seeing all these people playing this game again, and clearly how much they like it. I can't the time commitment is just too much. It sounds like they've made the time commitment more. It sounds like you have to play more to get to the levels you used to be able to get before. Where like in terms of like seeing the completion levels of the content and stuff. Like that's a lot more playing. Like 13 days played is insane.
Well, that's where I'm at. If you're a new person coming in and you get to the minimum item level for LFR, you've seen the content that I see at the level that I'm at.
But my weapon won't look cool.
Well, the looks are all the same, so unless I'm inspecting your character, I won't know what the item level is.
Oh, okay. So they don't change their like looks and stuff as they level up? That's kind of a missed opportunity, right?
So they do have artifact appearances. So don't let me steer you in the wrong direction for that.
There's a whole new layer there.
Yes, the appearances, however, are cosmetic based on certain criteria. So there is a entire line of 4 different colors for if you're a PvP player. They're like the monk tank has a staff, and it would be a different looking staff. So in theory, you could have a different looking item. Not to mention there's transmog. So sure. I don't even use the monk staff. I have some polearm that I think looks hilarious, and I use that.
I don't think we asked you the important question, Chris. As an addict, are you still having fun?
I am still having fun, yes.
They dragged a bunch of people back in with what sounds like tons of time commitment style content. They got everybody happy. It's so intriguing to me after this amount of time. How many years has this game been out?
Over 10. 15?
11, 12, something like that.
Yeah, getting close to 15 at this point, right? I think 2003 or 4.
It's like an evergreen. It's like an evergreen tree. It just keeps growing. It's the redwood of video games.
I mean, I don't know about that. I think that it grew through a lot of hard work done by the developers.
Sure. Well,
got to care for that tree to make it into General Sherman,
And they definitely struggled like the last couple of years. Do you notice now, Chris, that things are more populated when you're playing?
So let me, without going on a huge tangent.
I think you should go on a huge tangent. I think that's what we literally do here every week.
Gotcha. So when I originally started playing the game, back in vanilla, we pulled into the Penny Arcade versus PvP Online comic Guild Wars. Basically, the 2 authors chose. Well, nobody was really playing the game back then, so I was like, well, this author is going to choose Alliance, and his followers are going to join Alliance, and then the other author is going to choose Horde, and we're going to follow him. Back in those days, those servers were full. The server that I play on was one of the high population servers.
Tichondrius?
Dark Iron.
Okay.
Over time, when the comic wars ended, the server population really failed. I mean, it really started struggling. Many people at that time, you couldn't really do cross realms, that kind of stuff, which is a whole other tangent. Many people left the server. I still, due to the sheer volume of characters that I have, back then I used to 5-box at some point, so I still have plenty of characters on that server. I log in now every now and then just to see, if I recognize any old names or faces from people in that guild. What Blizzard attempted to do was do a server combine with multiple other low population servers so that the population seemed, if you're sitting at the auction house, it looked like the auction house was busy. They failed on some aspects of it, such as, you have all these people that can see each other as they're walking around, but I can't join their guild because they're still on a different server. I can't access their guild bank because they're on a different server. I can go to their raids. They can invite me, that kind of stuff. It worked great for if you just needed somebody to play with. But certain technical aspects of, how a server functions just didn't get copied over. They ended up combining like 6 or 7 servers into Dark Iron. I am on one server now that is still a high population server. Dark Iron is listed as a medium population. And the difference is like night and day between what Blizzard considers medium to what Blizzard considers high. I don't know how that's considered medium. I mean, you log in and there's like 10 people in a city. The server I'm in now, there's 30 people standing in front of me.
Everywhere, all the time?
Everywhere, all the time.
Interesting.
Back when we were playing, almost all the servers were medium or high pop, and medium meant there were 30 people in front of you all the time.
Yeah, definitely. And, some of it, I imagine, is because there's so many zones and so much old content. People are spread out all over, 5 expansions worth of zones. So, the chance of there being 30 people in front of you is low unless there's really a lot of people. And then, people want to play where other people are. So why join a new server that's medium or low population? Just join the high pop servers all the time, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what I would do if I was a new player. I'd find the one that all my friends are on. They're probably all on some, well-known high population server. I'm going to join that one.
The downside of doing that is, you have to choose whether you're going to be on a PvP or a PvE server. And then, some people, leveling was rough because the higher level characters would come back to lower zones and just sit there and murder you. And I think that's something that with Legion, Blizzard they haven't corrected it, but they've assisted in that process. Every one of the zones now is available for every character of every level. So whether you're 100 or you're 110, you can be in the same zone fighting the same boss. If you're fighting a world boss in the same area, and let's say I'm level 100 and you're level 110, my damage scales so that it appears that I'm doing as much damage as you are as a 110. I mean, the numbers don't show that, but my health bar shows that it's moving down accordingly, just the same as yours would move down.
That's mind-boggling. The amount of math that has to go into scaling people backwards, especially given that his weapon is also leveling.
I think computers are pretty good at math, so it's probably all right. Not too worried about that.
Yeah, but somebody had to tell it how to do that math. That's crazy.
It's not as hard. That part is not the part that I think is amazing.
Oh, okay.
The part that I think is amazing is that all these people live on opposite sides of the planet.
Good point. Now, you said world boss?
Yes. So they also have... how long ago did you guys play?
I stopped right before Ice Crown Citadel.
I stopped right before they shattered the world, quote unquote.
Did you play through Cataclysm? Did you play through Ice Crown Citadel then, Andrew?
I think I did, yeah. I think you and I quit basically about the same time. I maybe played a couple months longer than you did.
Okay. So Temple of AQ was opening when you guys were still playing?
Oh, yeah. I was
Okay.
online that day.
I tried to get to that zone, but I was like 40 levels under-leveled and then got murdered by every Silithid on the way there.
Nice. So they did, back then, if you were I was part of the guild that was attempting to, collect all the pieces so that we could get there first.
Yeah, you guys wanted to hit the gong or whatever.
Right. I mean, it would never happen because there were better guilds with more active people than what we were doing. But we were trying anyways. We're giving it our best.
Same. We had a person who was going for it, but, we weren't close.
College try.
That's right. So one of the things to do at that time was to kill an emerald dragon just north of Orgrimmar. And that was considered a world boss at the time. So now they've upped that now to once a week there's a huge world boss that takes at least 40 people to take down. 40 people of at least 20 110s.
And you get loot based on a quest, or how does that work? Or is it just a thing to do?
So they give you whatever the loot is for the boss. Sometimes the loot is resources that you need for the class hall missions. Sometimes it's a ring, whatever it is. But you also have the chance to roll an extra roll based on a number of coins that you have. So let's say your luck is always terrible and you never win anything. There is a chance to earn a maximum of 6 coins per week, or not earn, purchase 6 coins per week. And, sorry, you can only purchase 3 a week. You can have a total of 6. From those extra coins, they give you an extra roll on a boss. And that roll can be any level of gear, 830 through 890.
Huh.
So you could luck out and just be, oh my God, I'm just there. I got one hit on this world boss. Hey, I just got an $8.95 piece of gear that only drops in mythic dungeons or mythic raids that I'm not geared to get into.
And then you lose all your coins.
Just one.
Wow.
Man.
This game is so much more complex than I remember.
Man, yeah. Trying to juggle all those things just seems like it would be a game in itself almost.
I can't. I remember when you were worrying about getting token currencies for raids or things oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to manage all these different token currencies or try and get reputation for Booty Bay. And now you're I don't even know how you process all this. You remember the biggest thing of the week one time was, hey, they added a thing in Stranglethorn. You can go there and fight people in an arena and win the loot.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that. We used to summon people there and then kill them.
Yep. I was just going to say that was the fun thing to do. Especially because I played on a PvE server, and that was one of the few places that anyone could fight anyone all the time.
Yep.
Whether they wanted it or not.
Hey, join my raid. We're going to do this thing. And
summon them to that room. They're dead. Forever. Good times.
Oh, man. Well, he's having fun. It's so intriguing to me to see so many people playing that game. It's hard not to want to try it.
Are you going to go back, Andrew?
No. Well, I tried that week, right? But 3 days of the week was just trying to figure out where the heck my character was and what was in my bank and whether any of it meant anything.
I think I played a character to level 20 to get the portrait from Hearthstone.
I think that's part of the same amount of time that I had a free week during that time.
Well, I think that was a pretty good insight, though.
I don't think it gets much deeper into Legion than that. Thank you so much, Chris.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. This was awesome.
Sure. This was so cool. Yeah, well, you are kind of our, World of Warcraft aficionado from the BlizzCon group, so,
That works for me. Now I just have to con you guys into inviting me for the HOTS games so that I can get my Genji skin.
Well, where have you been, man? I don't know.
Spoiler alert. Andrew and I maybe have finished 30 HOTS games.
Double spoiler alert. You can do them all very quickly, and we're more than happy to play more than 30.
Yeah, we could get through that, blaze through those with you. It takes almost no time. It's really, really fast.
Oh, you guys just doing AI or something?
Oh, yeah. If you just want the stuff from it, play versus AI. We know the cheese now. We figured it out.
We can do this for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know what I am surprised by after all the BlizzCon stuff? That I have not seen you playing some Overwatch to brush up your skills, my friend.
So I finished I think we talked a little bit offline, that I got through my placement matches. Came out at just under 2,700, which is an average spot. I mean, it wasn't phenomenal.
Hold on. He calls 2,700 average. I placed at 1,800.
I don't know. I think it's probably ELO based, right? So don't those systems usually balance at 2,000 or something?
So in one of the Overwatch panels at BlizzCon, they said they inadvertently placed people too high. So I have a feeling, I don't want to say that I'm in that range, but I think 2,400 was that range. So I placed above that.
Would you say that the quality of your opponents is very high and you are struggling?
No.
Okay.
No. I feel like I'm adequately where I need to be, if not a little low. But I find solo play to be a little disheartening.
Even in competitive, huh?
It's such a team game. You really have to have a dedicated group to make it good.
Right. Well, even as a solo person, if you go in with a group that's like we're talking on Skype right now as an example. If you go into a group that's talking on Skype, they're not going to switch to the in-game sound to talk to you. So you're going to have no communication with whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. So when season 3 starts, are you going to kick it on or?
Yep.
All right. We've got Crusher 99 in the making over here.
I know, right?
It's a little short of my golden weapon, so I need to bump that.
Isn't a golden weapon 5,000, 3,000?
3,000. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm at 400.
Ah. I might be a little closer than that.
Man.
Oh, man.
I need like 100 points or something.
Oh, my gosh, really? So if you just do your placements next season, you'll get it.
I should get it, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. JJ, I think we need to play some Overwatch with Chris after this.
Okay, maybe we'll go give that a go.
Hey, before we go, JJ, I got a message this week.
Okay.
And I'll shorten it for you to save you a little bit. But it had a link in it to a website that was the description for how the name of Calibre came about,
Okay.
along with a pronunciation guide.
Okay.
In Britain, the word caliber is spelled R-E, sir.
Uh-huh.
So they say caliber.
I see. So this person is claiming that this program was made by folks across the pond.
No, it was a much more complicated explanation than that, involving California, Libras, Libers, all sorts of things. I'll send you the link.
Okay.
But it boiled down to the word caliber.
I see. But I mean, the validation here is if I'm right and this was made by people in the US, then they didn't intend for this and it's just someone getting lucky. Or is this written by the developers?
This is written by the developer.
Oh, okay. All right.
How they came up with the name and how they pronounce it.
Okay.
It's on their personal. It's not on the Caliber site, but it's on the
developer's blog or something.
blog. Yeah.
So what? And so the answer is it's pronounced caliber.
Yes.
Lame.
Shaboom!
Learn to spell. It's English.
Oh man, I felt like such a dunce when you corrected me, and now I feel good again.
Look, man, I know how English works. In English, that word would be calibre. So, whatever.
If there's any corrections on this episode, JJ, where can they send them?
People can send us corrections to podcast@weweregamers.com, which is an email address that electronic mails could be sent to. They could send us pictures of animated GIFs on Instagram to weweregamers to tell us how wrong we were about whatever it is. They could go to Facebook and post on the We Were Gamers page about how wrong I am, probably. And let's see, what am I forgetting? If you follow us on Twitter, we are at We Were Gamers. Our website, weweregamers.com, will have all the shows. If people want to listen, rate us on iTunes and Google Play. And thanks for listening.
Yeah, let's do some HOTS or some Overwatch or something.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
All right, thanks again, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Definitely. Thanks for having me on.